Attack Attack took over the entire metalcore scene in 2008 with their album Someday Came Suddenly. Everybody was talking about them because of the moves they did during the Stick Stick Leaf video. It was so flashy and over the top that people started calling them Crabcore as a joke. Little did they know, the album would later be looked at as a classic and they were just about to kickstart a brand new kind of metal. Now, whether you're a fan of the band or maybe you're just curious to know what happened, you're at the right place. From the early days to their incredible rise, some drama causing major lineup changes and the band having to reinvent themselves multiple times over the years, this is the rise and fall of Attack Attack. So my friend, grab your cup of coffee, sit back and relax, cause we're going back in time. Right after releasing their debut EP on MySpace, Attack Attack had quite a big hype around them already. You see, during that era, adding synth elements in metalcore music was slowly becoming a thing. A good example of that would be the Divorce Prada and Underoath. The Christian metalcore scene specifically was getting more and more popular, and just for context, if you were starting a metalcore band back then, you were probably looking for a keyboard player in your lineup. Also, there was this weird unwritten rule that the keyboardist was required to have an insane stage presence for no reason at all. But what made Attack Attack different for the most part was that their synth elements were way more flashy and theatrical, while most of the clean singing had tons of autotunes in it, which of course created a lot of reactions in the scene. Sure, it didn't sound perfect, I mean, it was still very rough around the edges, but it had so much energy and it showed a lot of potential, especially for an upcoming band. To put it simply, Attack Attack was just a couple of kids with a dream having no idea that their life was about to change forever.
What is up, you guys?
Believe it or not, only a couple of months after the release, Attack Attack officially got signed by Rise Records. I mean, imagine being a kid in high school and releasing some music on MySpace for fun with your friends, only to get signed by the absolute best label in the game. At the time, a deal with Rise Records meant having the best connections in the scene, getting booked on the sickest tours, but most importantly, having recording time in a big studio. Speaking of which, in this case, we're not talking about some random big studio. No, we're talking about recording with none other than Joey Sturgis himself, which changes everything.
So what do you think of Attack Attack?
They're really good. They write great music. Their musicianship is excellent, and they're gonna go really far.
Are you lying?
Totally.
As I said many times in my videos over the years, Joey Sturgis was the absolute best producer in the game, and it wasn't even close. I'm pretty sure most people would agree with me on that. The recording process itself was documented through a couple of studio updates, which were extremely popular during the MySpace era. In a world where blogs were pretty much the only way to keep up with all your favorite bands, having the opportunity to see them recording an album, goofing around as a band and having fun was the best thing ever. It was the beginning of social media, and the best part was that we didn't even know it, which in a way made it even more special, I think. Maybe I should do a video about that. Let me know in the comments. The release of Someday Came Suddenly was special, to say the least. Because on one side it was doing very well on the charts, but on the other, the reviews were so freaking bad, which kind of shows how irrelevant music reviews can be most of the time.
This guy owns a non-successful internet album review site, has pictures of him and his dog, no wife, and he somehow got on Fox News and talked shit about a bunch of 16, 17, and 18-year-old kids. That sounds like a good guy to me.
And the best part was that it didn't even matter. At the time, MySpace was on the rise and so was Attack Attack, getting an insane amount of hype by the minute. I mean, all the reviewers and metalheads got it wrong because Someday Came Suddenly was never meant to be liked by them. It was targeting a brand new audience, and as a former member of that specific audience, let me tell you, we were all about it. The over-the-top clean singing parts, Austin matching the vibes perfectly with his screaming parts, the electro synth pop elements making you feel like you're in a party at the beach, and the super catchy breakdowns. I also think it's very important to mention that they had some Christian lyrics because at the time, believe it or not, it was a very big topic of discussion around the band.
So do people often accuse you all of being a Christian band? Because I read that happens.
Yeah, that usually does happen like all
and
the time.
What's your reaction?
I don't know. I guess I could understand because like the lyrics in our last album were, you know, obviously about God, because that's Johnny, and, you know, when he wrote them, he was talking about God and stuff, so that's cool.
One less for one is one, and that's one that you know. Right time for one I loved, and what they lost was you.
They did, however, clarify that they were officially not a Christian band. And I know, it might not seem like a big deal, but as a band, when you're officially Christian or straight edge for example, it comes with certain things and can easily become controversial if you don't act accordingly. Attack Attack was all about fun and humor, which of course was the complete opposite of what metal stood for in most cases, resulting in a lot of love and also a lot of hate. But the important part was, people were talking about it, and that's what you need as a band. What you don't need as a band is a vocalist going crazy and acting wild on tour, which unfortunately for the band, is exactly what happened. Apparently, Austin was constantly telling people that they were a Christian band while drinking on stage, which obviously made them look really bad. They also stated that he was quote-unquote sleeping with anything that crosses his path, and also made Caleb's lives miserable on tour ever since he called him out on his bad behavior. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So then, only 3 weeks into their very first big tour as a band, they left Austin in a parking lot by himself and decided to move on without him. And just like that, everything changed. Stick Stickly became the official video template for an entire generation of bands, and it made the band blow up even more. But most importantly, Crabcore was born. It pretty much instantly became a meme. It was even featured on Your Scene Sucks, and the fact that it was such a big deal with just a couple of weird moves in a video was very impressive, I think. Crabcore officially became their thing, and as much as they were getting a shit ton of hate for it, they fully embraced it and even responded to it with their merch, which was as cool as it was smart in my opinion. While we're on the topic of merch, Attack Attack was such a big part of the neon pop flashy monster merch fashion. I wouldn't go as far as saying that they created it, but they were definitely in the forefront, that's for sure. A brand new generation of bands was arriving in the scene, and it got the same kind of attention that only a mainstream artist would get, or at least that's how it felt for us at the time. Also, in case you didn't know, there was another version of the video for the song, except it was way cheesier and worse, so they decided to make a new one, which was absolutely the right call. Now listen, if you're younger and you're watching this, you need to understand how big of an impact Attack Attack really had during the 2009 Vans Warped Tour era. They were right at the center of everything, and since they were incorporating both metalcore and electro-synth elements, they pretty much represented the vibes of the entire scene. With all that being said, the timing to announce a new vocalist was just horrible. I mean, even after all these years, I still feel like it should have been Austin in the video. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying by any means that they should have kept Austin in the band or that what he did was okay, but the situation itself kind of sucked, to be honest. If you've been watching any of my content, you know I very rarely go negative in my videos, and I feel bad for even saying that, but that dude Nick was just not it. He just didn't have the frontman aura that the band needed at the time. And not that it matters now, but I feel like during that specific period of time, with the insane momentum that they had, they could have been like 5 times bigger with the right vocalist. As for Austin, believe it or not, right after Attack Attack, he almost joined Icy Stars, and for what it's worth, I think it would have been absolutely incredible. You see, since they were also on the rise and they needed a new vocalist for the screaming parts, the idea of Austin on stage alongside Devin made total sense and probably would have been a game changer for Icy Stars. Of course, as we all know, that's not what happened. Instead, Austin had decided to start a brand new band called Of Mice and Men, which, as we all know, blew up instantly after releasing their first album. And not that it was a competition or anything, but the fact that Of Mice and Men became twice as big as Attack Attack right out of the gate kind of proves my point. Plus, Attack Attack might have felt the exact same way that I did, because by October 2009, Nick was out of the band and Caleb Shomo was officially stepping in as their new frontman. The release of the self-titled represented a brand new era. It was basically Attack Attack 2.0. What we had here is a prime example of a band reinventing itself entirely. The breakdowns were at least 10 times heavier. The over-the-top summer pop synth parts were gone for the most part and mostly replaced by a much darker tone. I mean, I guess it wasn't entirely gone. But please trust me when I say that it felt like a completely different band, and for good reason. They went through a lot as a band, and with the sound of metalcore constantly changing and evolving, it just made sense for them to try a new direction. Technically, everything was just better and improved. You could tell they were starting to take things more seriously, which unfortunately, I don't think played in their favor. Don't get me wrong, the album did very well in terms of numbers, but as for their cult following, this new approach felt different. In other words, it was a great album, but the shock factor they had, it was gone. I mean, remember, Attack Attack was the iconic Crabcore band, but during that era, they were slowly starting to become a cool metalcore band, which isn't a bad thing in itself, but it surely can reduce the impact you have, as opposed to being controversial, hated, and constantly talked about online. On a more positive note, musically, Caleb did a fantastic job on vocals. It was so refreshing to hear a low tone matching perfectly the new guitar tuning and the heavier riffs, making them kind of sound like, let's say, For the Fallen Dreams. I also think he was an amazing frontman, which, as I've mentioned earlier, was exactly what the band needed at the time.
Make it count!
Same goes for Johnny, who dropped the autotune and wrote way better choruses in general. They were clearly ahead of their time, because if you paid attention, that's exactly how every single metalcore band would sound like a couple of years later, back when the genty, bouncy, downtuned riffs took over and officially became the new sound. They also released a deluxe edition with a few remixes and a couple of new songs, including my personal favorite, Pick a Side. The band was thriving, things were looking up until Johnny officially decided to quit the band to focus on his relationship with God, forcing Attack Attack to reinvent themselves yet once again. I sincerely believe that This Means War was the moment where Caleb found himself as an artist and as a vocalist, having no other choice but to step up as the only member left doing vocals in the band. He gave everything he had, and for what it's worth, I think he did an incredible job. It was another big step into the more serious approach, with no more ridiculous song titles and Caleb writing intense lyrics related to war and life struggles for the most part. Even in their image as a band, they kind of looked like an underground indie project more than anything, especially compared to the original flashy scene look they had. Same goes for the album artworks, which over time became darker, and while we're here, the new logo was an absolute downgrade, but I digress. Musically, the band was fully embracing its heavier side with their insane breakdowns and Meshuggah-like bouncy riffs. Caleb's clean singing parts sounded insane. That specific era of the band is very underrated in my opinion. I think they killed it on every single aspect, and they deserved so much more hype and attention. As for their live performances, they were doing a very good job for the most part, I would say, except it was a little weird sometimes because instead of Caleb singing the old songs, it was this other dude on guitar, and then sometimes he would take the mic and sing for some reason, so another random dude would take his place. I don't know, it just felt off and confusing to me. Nonetheless, the band was still doing very well. I mean, sure, the Crabcore good old days were gone, but this new version of Attack Attack was working out for them. Until everything fell apart. They parted ways with Rise Records, John and Caleb both quit the band. I mean, at this point, was it even worth continuing? Well, apparently, yes, it was. They officially hired a new singer and a new bassist to complete the lineup. The new vocalist was apparently in a band called I Am Abomination, which I honestly knew nothing about prior to this video, but just with the name, I thought it might be a death metal band somehow. It wasn't. quite the opposite actually. You see, since he wasn't really screaming in that band, most of the fans were starting to be concerned about how this new music would sound like, rightfully so. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad at all, but it didn't sound like Attack Attack, let's be honest. So right after releasing a couple of new singles, including No Defeat, ironically, Attack Attack decided to do one last tour called Fuck It, We're Done, and as you probably guessed, they broke up. Attack Attack thriving in 2025. Who would have thought? Is it the same band? No. Does it matter? Not really. I mean, if you ask me, the fact that they managed to come back years later and stay relevant is pretty damn impressive. Not only that, but they're responding to the hate the exact same way they used to by calling songs One It Wonder and I Complain on Reddit metalcore. Even in their lyrics, like the part when they say, guess you want the old sound, here's your fucking breakdown.
Guess you want the old sound, here's your fucking breakdown.
While we're here, not to be a hater, I swear, but is this considered a breakdown even? I mean, it's so far from this. I don't know, is it just me, or modern breakdowns in general just don't sound as heavy as they used to? I'm genuinely curious about this, so please let me know in the comments because maybe I'm just getting old. On the bright side, musically, I think the clean vocals are very good. They kind of reminded me of I Prevail. As for the instrumental, they did exactly what they had to do in order to succeed because it's as octane core as it gets. And believe me, I don't mean it as an insult, I think it's the best move to make if you want to blow up as a band. As for their lineup, in case you're wondering, the only original member left in Attack Attack is their drummer Wetzel. And as for Caleb and Johnny, if you needed any more proof that Caleb was a big part of Attack Attack's success, here it is. Caleb founded Beartooth all the way back in 2012 and it just kept getting bigger and bigger over the years. I mean, that guy is just full of talent, it's obvious. He also seemed way healthier and happier, which is amazing. After everything he went through with Attack Attack and his personal life, seeing Caleb killing it and finally getting the recognition he always deserved is extremely wholesome. I sincerely wish nothing but the best for Caleb and Beartooth.
Set my life on fire, feel you burning in my face. Hold my head to the sink, I've never felt so low.
Bill Murray has to be one of the most brilliant, outstanding, unique projects ever. Johnny didn't spend all those years only getting ripped. He also mastered his craft and created such an amazing formula that only he can pull off. Safe to assume he was a big part of Attack Attack's goofiness and humor in general because let me tell you, everything he does with Bill Murray is just so funny and weird in the best possible way. Not only that, but he managed to get such a great cult following and the shows just keep getting bigger and bigger. Not to mention, their live performances are some of the best I've ever seen in my life.
You know it. And I liked it better. And I can feel the lungs, no empty. Atlanta, let's fucking go! Hold my head to the sink. I never felt so low. And I can't hold my breath.
So to summarize, Wetzel is doing great in Attack Attack, Caleb is killing it in Beartooth, and Johnny is making waves with Bill Murray. Life is good, my friends. And that's pretty much it. If you're still watching the video, thank you so much. You're a real one. It means the world to me. It might not seem like it, but I put so much work in my videos, it's insane. Speaking of which, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way. If you want to support me to a higher level, the best way to do that is to subscribe on Patreon. You get to see exclusive content, you're gonna know before anybody else what's gonna be the topic of my next video. I post some behind the scenes with like food, music projects, nerd stuff, so if it's interesting to you, please consider subscribing. I also recently added a free trial, so you've got nothing to lose. Thanks to all of you who already subscribed, you guys are the best. We also have a free Discord server and a live deathcore podcast every week on Twitch, check it out. And with all that being said, I'm finally gonna stop talking. I'll see you in the next one.